let's do some cyberpunk stuff. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That's the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I'm going to be your host.
And I might be a skin job, but they still named me Distance.
And tonight is the Metacast movie show about Blade Runner 2049. Okay. Blade Runner 2049 is a 2017 science fiction movie. It's directed by Denis Villeneuve, the story by Hampton Fancher, and it's based on characters from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick.
It stars Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Ana de Armas, and Sylvia Hoeks. The budget was $150 to $185 million. The box office take was $260.5 million. The tomato meter was 88% with an audience score of 81%.
And Blade Runner 2049 follows Kay, who is played by Ryan Gosling. And as the title suggests, he is a Blade Runner tracking down a secret that would completely change civilization if revealed. So this movie, of course, last week we did the original Blade Runner, and that was the first time I had seen that. I'd also never seen Blade Runner 2049. I specifically avoided this when it came out because I knew I'd never seen the original, which I have no idea how it took me so long to see the original, and I'm glad I saw this one. I do have to say, I did not enjoy this as much as the original, but with that being said, I still really liked it. And I still think it was really well done. It was very interesting. It was different than I expected going into it. I don't know why I had the expectation that I did, but this is not a spoiler at all. But like, I expected Harrison Ford to be in it a lot more than he was. His role in it is a lot smaller than I expected going in, which I thought was a little bit strange. But I don't necessarily know where that expectation came from, though. But still, with that being said, though, I thought it was really well done. A great sequel to what I thought was an awesome movie. So as far as giving it a verdict, should you watch? I do have to give this one a yes. I think it was really cool, really enjoyable, and I don't think there's much that people wouldn't really enjoy about this. It's kind of like a non-offensive movie. It's like, I think most people can go into it and just really enjoy it.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that statement. Like, there's not really much to hate about the movie. I feel like our friend and past guest Craig would probably find a way to hate it because Ryan Gosling is in it, and only for the reason that Ryan Gosling is in it. So Craig, if you're watching, I hate you. I mean, for this one, I think it's just a really cool movie. I think it's really well cast. I think that for anybody who's seen the original movie, this is something that's a very, very cool, very well thought out continuation of the first one. Yeah. It answers a lot of questions that you have about the first movie, I think. And even if you haven't seen the original, this is a good movie to like watch and make you want to see the original.
So would you suggest someone even seeing this before the original? Or? Yeah,
I mean, I would definitely, obviously, should you watch is a yes from me, but the conditional should you watch, if you have the opportunity to watch the first one first, then I would definitely recommend that. But if someone just happens to stumble upon this movie, like there's a few people that didn't even know the first one existed.
It just thought this was the original. That's interesting.
Huh. It was just like that. It was just a movie, like because there's a lot of movies or subtitles that have a year in them about futuristic shit.
Yeah, true. Yep.
So I feel like there's a lot of people that would just not even know and be like, "Ooh, Ryan Gosling, he thick."
But Blade Runner was such a household name. Like even growing up when that was before my time and never even seeing the original movie, I still just have heard the words Blade Runner together so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's. I know it seems like an impossible cultural phenomenon to be unaware of, but today I was wearing a pair of Jordan sneakers with the number 23 on the back of them, and someone asked me what the 23 meant.
Yeah, good point. It is.
So it's like,
yeah.
And I would think that it's just common knowledge, like because I mean, Jordan sneakers, Michael Jordan, like they're very American things. That
I think we're just old, man. It's like it's the generational gap. It's like in my mind, you would have to have heard of Blade Runner, even though that's before me. But it's still like, yeah, it may just be a generational thing, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that there's a whole bunch of people that, especially you and I, like we grew up like playing Magic the Gathering. Like I was super into Star Wars. Like we listened to like heavy metal music, and people don't know there's a lot of nerds that listen to metal. So like, especially the groups that we grew up in, like people are going to talk about like sci-fi stuff like this, and you can't really avoid it, like there will be some talk about it somewhere. So it's a combination, I think, of our ages and also our like kind of social circles that we've ran in.
Yeah, it is kind of like the counterculture kind of movie, or like I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to bet that my 13-year-old nephew has no fucking clue like about the first movie.
Oh, I wonder. That would be an interesting experiment. Yeah, like ask what is the you have 2 ages of nephews, right? 13 and what's the younger one?
Oh fuck, hold on, math. He's 11.
Yeah, I wonder if either of them have ever heard of Blade Runner. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I'm a terrible uncle. I'm really struggling.
But you ready to you ready to go into like spoiler territory? Oh my god.
What?
I just skipped like 4 fucking syllables of that sentence.
It sounds like a militant group that spoils things, the spoiletary.
Or no, hold on. What if we have can we have a mascot that's Spoiler Terry? Like a little dude named Terry that's like, when we're going into spoiler territory, Spoiler Terry comes up and just warns you that hey, by the way, boys, we're spoiling things.
That would actually be really funny. I have some ideas for what the character could look like.
Sweet. Okay, well, Spoiler Terry, let's get into oh my god, that's ridiculous. So yeah, like I like all memes aside, we kind of joked about that in the beginning, but I did want to know if you do want to kind of like take the helm as far as just guiding the conversation, with this being like the movie you chose. I don't know what
well, number one, I'm like fucking angry at the beginning of this because the tomato meter and audience scores were like below 90%. I find that strange because and we were even talking about this today with like certain bands that like I turned my nose up at when I was younger because I thought I was just like too good. Like I got to keep the gate, man.
Yeah.
This ain't real.
We were talking about that it was My Chemical Romance in context, right?
Yeah. And I've done the same with other bands, like Bring Me the Horizon, or a band I never gave a chance. And, I did other stuff.
I did the same with both My Chemical Romance and Brand New. It took me way too long to appreciate Brand New because all I knew were the popular songs that were actually very popular, and like for some reason never listened to and appreciated Deja Entendu. And then once I did, it was like, holy shit, this album is amazing.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that like you didn't hear in your friend's car, like skip to this song.
Yeah.
Were actually really good.
Yeah.
And we'll be continuing talk of this on our new music podcast coming soon. Which we probably should do one, honestly.
I honestly, I kicked around doing basically, like Craig suggested, the same idea, but with albums instead of movies. Yeah, just listen to an album and then have the same kind of talk. Yeah.
And most of the time, people don't really listen to albums all the way through anymore.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't want to do like the old man thing and be like, it's just fortunate that music is so readily available. You don't have to.
Well, true. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that like I think that a lot of people didn't like this movie because they were turning their noses up at it because the original was so like so memorable.
Yeah.
Such a kind of a monument of sci-fi, and like it's the debate that people have that is it Alien or Blade Runner that is the quintessential that is the Ridley Scott movie.
Which if you have an answer for that, let us know your opinion. What is the quintessential Ridley Scott movie?
Is it Alien or is it Blade Runner? And there's no option C. There's no way it's anything else. I'm sorry.
I believe those are the only 2 movies he has ever done. Actually, if you look at his Wikipedia, it's yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's it. Actually, I think the rest of the stuff he's done has been series, right?
I don't know his catalog well enough. I know he was somehow involved with the oh my god, Prometheus and Covenant and those movies too, right? Like the Alien reboot. He was
some kind of associate of them. Actually, the lady friend and I, she'd never seen the original Alien, so we actually watched that.
That's cool. Did she like it?
And Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like, because for me, like, and I mean, I think I mentioned this last week. Like, I think Alien is like the original like sci-fi horror film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it is. There is one particular jump scare in that movie that no matter how many times I watch it, I'm just not ready for it.
Which one is it?
Well, you know, like that one song you like where the vocals come in a weird spot and you can never actually hit it when you sing along.
Yeah.
Well, it's when the captain guy is in like the air duct area, and they think that the alien's coming toward him.
Yeah.
And they're looking at the motion tracker thing, and then it disappears, and it comes back, and it disappears. Like, you need to get out of there. You need to get out. And then like there's a quick like of the alien.
Yeah.
No matter how many times I watch that, like I always jump. And I think it's the anticipation of it. I'm just gonna, oh no, like, okay, I'm not gonna jump this time, and I do every time.
I kicked around an awesome idea that like, okay, Netflix, if you guys use this, you fucking owe me. But you know how now there is like the like Bandersnatch, or like there's the interactive, and there was even the Kimmy Schmidt interactive movie or whatever. Okay, so the technology exists where they're able to have basic links within the movie like that to link to certain points. Why can there not be jump scares in horror movies with random timing? So every time you watch the movie, there's a difference in timing of like a change of a few seconds, to where jump scares could actually be like surprising every single time.
That is a very good idea. And, you know, I will like horror films even less. And, you know, it also is an out of character thing for me that I like Alien.
I don't think Ellie likes that idea in chat. I thought that was a great idea, but that would...
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would keep it
films,
refreshing.
I think the idea is great. Yeah.
But anyway, so what are we talking about this week? Is it Blade?
Wait, no, this one's on Alien, right?
Yeah, fuck, Alien Covenant? Is that the one we're doing?
Well, a lot of people, Alien Constipation.
That was a good game. That was a really good game. Yeah. No, Alien Isolation did help me with my constipation problem, I think, is how those two are related in my mind.
It does make sense. But, yeah. It's funny because Ridley Scott's not involved in this one at all. And I think that's another reason why people didn't like the movie, is because Ridley Scott's involved in it.
Yeah.
Or not involved, sorry. Like, he has something to do with the film.
It does sometimes feel like I don't have anything against fan fiction, but for me it is sometimes weird when someone has created a universe, and if they didn't intend it to be open, that then someone else is creating, like, it is kind of strange to me that this movie was created without Ridley Scott being part of it at all. But that doesn't make me dislike it or anything. It just, to me, I think it is kind of a weird idea.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it is a little strange to me also, but it's not something that completely puts me off. And I love the original Blade Runner, but it wasn't to that, because I was just so excited about the story continuing that I just didn't care.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they did this was really, really cool. Like, I like the foreshadowing. The foreshadowing, when you watch it again, the foreshadowing's super heavy-handed. Which
foreshadowing? With the actual twist of the girl? Or I'm not sure which you're talking about. When
Kay visits the doctor, I forget the actual character's name. When he visits the doctor, and she, you know, she's the one that like actually creates memories with, you know, the virtual like kind of world device.
The one who, spoiler alert, ends up being the child that he's searching for the entire movie.
We're spoiler Terry has arrived.
We already talked about that. Yeah.
So the scene where he's asking about the memory.
Yes.
To figure out how do you know if one is real, and she looks into the little viewfinder thing to look at the memory, and a tear falls down her face.
Yeah.
And she says, "This memory is real. Someone experienced this."
Yeah.
But you never are told how she knows exactly.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, he went to her for that expertise, that she would because I think that could be read as that her experience or her expertise with memories, where she was able to know that no matter what. But I do get what you're saying, that it does make sense if that's how she knew that 100%.
The fact that she cries and says that after watching it a few times, it seems really heavy-handed, but maybe it's also like, you know, like the results of World War II seem predictable because we know what happens. So, you know, it might just be the same thing. But
and she also I took it as she can cry because it was such an emotional memory that it affected her watching it, even if she had no personal tie to it.
and that's kind of how I read it the first time I watched the movie too. But dude, like tiny. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I do think the twist and the foreshadowing and everything was done incredibly well in this movie. Where I'm someone that very often I'm able to guess twists and see things coming, and it gets kind of boring in certain movies where there's supposed to be a surprise, and I just like in the first few minutes of the movie I'm like, oh, I guess this is what's gonna happen. I loved that this movie was like my original idea as soon as starting. It was like, oh, is this gonna be where we're wondering if Kay is gonna be Deckard's son throughout the whole movie? So I love that, like, that was almost what the creators knew that the audience was going to be expecting, and like went into it with like. And I also love that at the very beginning they like, I was also worried. I was like, okay, is this going to be where, similar to the first one, are we going to be left with the question of, is Ryan Gosling a replicant or not? And I love how in the very beginning they're like, nope, like he's definitely a replicant, like we'll squash that one. And then like almost a red herring of like, here's another mystery, but then it ends up being like a twist that, like, yeah, I think it was very, very well done. I love the way they crafted the story.
And they do a really, really good job of pushing the audience in that direction really, really hard.
Yep.
They push it really hard with joy also. There's one part of the movie that I think a lot of people don't, that I think more people should pay attention to, because I'm always freaking out about endings on here, but I think that a strong beginning is also super important. And I love that tiny little role that Dave Bautista plays in the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I loved as soon as I saw Drax there. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, and the fight scene is awesome.
Yeah,
like where he fucking basically slams him into the wall till he slams him through it. And Bautista, like being part of like entertainment wrestling, he's very good at stage fighting type stuff. So he was really good.
Yeah, that was a great cast job for that.
And the way he delivers that "you've never seen a miracle" line.
Yeah.
It's something about the way that Dave Bautista is able to, in some of the roles he plays, this kind of subdued aggression.
Yeah.
That he does that so well in that scene.
He's a good actor. Yeah. For someone whose like main experience is wrestling, which is still acting, but it is like super exaggerated stage acting where you need to portray to an arena, like you're trying to portray your performance to someone that's however many rows away from you, versus like intimate camera acting is way more subtle and different. And I think it shows a great range of him to be able to like do both and the transition from one to the other.
Yeah, agreed. And because like there's certain actors, William Shatner, that have not been able to transition from styles very well. And there's some people that desperately want to do Broadway that are stuck playing the Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman.
Yep.
Hugh Jackman, he's always been really good in every type of
I just want to sing, mate. I'm like, shut up and put the claws on.
It's true. I'm sure he has some nightmares every night about the claws. But yeah, and I think that particular part of the movie, like the fact that they start off with that, and they start off with this mysterious tree, and there's a box, like the way that it starts and the way that they sort of enter you into the world, I think it's a really good beginning to the film, because it's more or less an introduction, really.
It is an actual like literal mystery box. I love it, like, because they talk about like that concept is like the mystery box concept, and I love that it really was like an actual box in this. But like thinking back, one thing I didn't notice is it almost tells you that there's no way he was the actual kid he was looking for, because Bautista would have recognized him. If Bautista was like part of that group of hiding Rachel and everything like that, there would have been a connection there. Yeah.
And I think at that point on first watch, that because you're so unaware of what's happening yet, I think that the first time it's not quite in your mind, but after you've seen the movie a few times, like it's super obvious that he's not it.
Yeah.
But the way that they push it so much with Joy insisting, and by the way, I cannot imagine anybody other than Ana de Armas playing Joy.
Yes.
For the same reason she was so good in Knives Out.
Yeah. Yep.
She does that role really, really, really well. That kind of, I don't really know how to describe it. She's got a very charming like presence on camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's endearing, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
I'm gonna need Apple to very quickly upgrade from Siri to Joy. I am feeling like the tech envy or whatever it is. Like my Siri just is not cutting it anymore. Please.
Do we have that movie Her on our list?
Oh no, but that's a good one though. Heard? Yeah, that's an interesting. You've never seen it? Ooh, that's a good.
Yeah,
I'm adding that right now.
It's been on my list on Netflix for like years, and it's been available on there forever. Yeah,
it's a weird one.
I'm right now.
Oh, I was putting it on, but yeah, you go ahead.
When did we decide to put Night of the Living? Was that my idea?
That was either last week or the week before. Yeah, sometime in the past few weeks we were talking about it. But yeah, it was definitely a year. And you brought it up and as like a suggestion, and I kind of embraced it because of me trying to appreciate older movies. Like we talked about as a way to like try to like yeah.
I vaguely remember this. I'm sure I mentioned Nosferatu in the conversation.
Yeah, that was the same night that I ended up watching Nosferatu. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Not really. No.
Do you want to do an episode on it?
No, I can't. Like, okay, because I can't consider it a movie because it's a silent film. To me, it is a completely different medium. You know what I mean? So it's like I
understand.
So for that reason, like I can appreciate it for what it is. But when you ask, do I like it? It's like it doesn't fill the void of watching a movie, or it doesn't like scratch the itch of watching a movie. I guess like it's a completely different experience to me. So it was not enjoyable as far as like how I picture my movie consuming to be.
I feel you. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. There was one tiny thing that I wanted to mention about the beginning scene.
Was it my penis?
What?
The tiny thing? Was it my penis?
Oh no! At the beginning of the movie, not the beginning of our day.
Yeah, I thought it was the beginning of when we started watching the movie. But the popcorn trick, by the way, was very well pulled off by you. I thought that was great.
Hey,
you really got me.
I try. Well, it's the fact that when he's in I do not remember the name of Batista's character, but when he's in the in his home and
Sapper,
which is a funny name, I think.
I know that because in WoW I have to use an item called a Goblin Sapper Charge a lot, so it's like I only know the name Sapper from using him in WoW. I was like, oh, it's fucking Sapper. It's cool.
So it's the fact that Kay smells garlic and doesn't know what it is.
Oh yeah, that's kind of.
And he actually makes a point to raise the lid on the pot and smell it. Because for me, it's like I'm half Indian, and not only am I half Indian, I'm half Punjabi. And basically every fucking thing you cook starts with garlic and onion. So like to imagine a future where there's no garlic, like the collapse of ecosystems in the mid 2020s is pretty scary. But the fact that garlic is affected by that is the most terrifying thing for me.
The funny thing is, when you start that, like you started it with the Indian thing, which I do understand, like garlic is, but it's like it made me realize like garlic is such a close ingredient to many cultures. Like it's not just like Indian. It's like holy shit, garlic is like the spice for like almost every culinary.
Yep.
Like branch that I could think of, really. Like, yeah.
Italy, I mean, Brazil, Cuba.
I guess in Mexico, it's not like the main spice, but it is still very prominent. It's still found a lot, but it's like I think they have chilies more than garlic, I would say. But
yeah. Which I'm sure if garlic was affected, I'm sure chilies were too.
Probably,
but,
yeah.
Isn't it funny how much a shithole LA is in the future?
Yeah.
Or in 2049, 20 years from now.
Oh, in Mexico, it's peppers and garlic. Okay, gotcha. Garlic and onions. Yeah, garlic and onions are just delicious. Garlic, onions, and butter are pretty much like if you start a dish with garlic, onions, and butter, it's gonna be good. You can't really fuck up too much from there.
If something turns out badly, just put garlic, onions, and butter in it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, basically.
Emphasis on the butter part.
I'm never letting you make ice cream for me.
Did you? Yeah. Maybe not. What's in this? Oh,
a lot of garlic, onions, and butter, man. It's good.
I might have an idea for an experiment now. So there are a few things that I kind of wanted to like kind of touch on that are maybe more of a what's the word? Metaphysical nature in the film.
Okay.
And something that I know about both of us, I have the feeling that you also were somewhat annoyed.
Very turned on by Ryan Gosling. Yes, I know where you were going with that.
Did you?
No, was that not where you were going with that?
This is a fun episode because we've gone off on a lot of tangents. And did you hear the comedian that was talking about the gauge that you can use to determine exactly how gay you are?
No, but I need to know. I need to learn.
In the bit he says he's 28 days gay.
28 days. Okay.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "What?" Because the audience is confused. He says, "Because if I were stuck on an island with Ryan Gosling, it would be 28 days before I tried to sleep with him." So, and he said that every guy has a number of days that he'd be able to wait. He makes some line about like, you know, by the 28th day, watching him, his shirtless chest glistening as he arises from the water, and like this really intense kind of descriptive.
Oh yeah.
So
I need a minute.
Yeah, but
does it have to be measured in days?
Yeah, it's got to be days. How many days is it? Oh, are you an hours guy?
I think I'm an hours guy. Yeah, I think I'm not waiting for sunset. I'm like, I'm a lights on gentleman. I mean, I'm talking, middle of the day on the beach.
Sunset, unfortunately. It was the talk of a soul.
Yeah.
I found it somewhat irritating in the film for like a bunch of reasons.
Okay,
but because there's one of the reasons why the talk about legal or illegal for abortion is because it's actually, in my opinion, almost damn near impossible to come to an agreeable premise that has several agreeable premises that can conclude the definition of a life.
Okay, yeah.
So similarly, it's the same thing. I don't understand why the whole soul thing has to be one of the things that people talk about regarding whether or not replicants are alive, because it's kind of a shitty, and even the term soul is like a misnomer.
Well, to a lot of people, there is like a like some sort of unknown thing that makes life different. And I guess like calling it a soul. Like I remember even having this conversation with Lee in chat recently, where like he, you know, not being like a religious person, he was even like, but still like someone that believes that there is like some sort of unknown ingredient that makes consciousness or you know what I'm saying. So like labeling it a soul, labeling it something. There's something that like, what is the way that people, I've heard it explained like the simplest way, where it's like, you know, I can very easily take my car apart and put it back together and turn the key and it'll run again. I can't take my dog apart, put it back together and jumpstart it and have it start running again. Like people think that there's like some sort of missing ingredient that is consciousness, and whether or not you call it a soul, like there is a prominent belief among a lot of people that's a thing that exists. Unfortunately, it's not anything that can really be measured. So it's like if you're talking about like, you know, just objective reality, it's not really something that you can factor into the conversation.
Yeah, and it's kind of an unfair like standard to move around when talking about the replicants, in my opinion, in the film. But the reason why I say it's a misnomer is because the word that's typically translated as soul in the Old Testament is the word is nephesh.
Okay.
I had to look it up because I couldn't remember it. And the word doesn't necessarily mean soul. Soul is actually like an import from like Greek or Roman type mythology. Yeah. And the term nephesh in Hebrew, because it's really abstract for an English speaker.
Yeah.
It's almost like life or like yourself.
Yeah, or like essence, or like what? Yeah.
And I think nephesh, because Hebrew has so few words.
Yeah.
A lot of the words have several meanings. I think nephesh also means breath or throat or something like that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There's a term called like there's a word ruach, which is like when talking about like God's breath, or God's like, it's almost like his wind. Kind of.
Okay.
But like, I think nephesh means like throat or breath or something like that too. But
well, I know that is like a theme in like when they talk in the Old Testament, when God was creating Adam, like didn't he breathe life into him through his mouth and things like that? Like I know that's
yeah. And that actually might be one of the places where that term's used, ruach. But I think that if you look at the kind of what I would argue is a misinterpreted term from the Old Testament. And I'm saying this because this movie takes place in North America, in LA.
Yeah.
So like, I think that if it were me, I would actually make the argument that if you look at kind of the intricacies of the word that's translated into soul, that I would actually argue that the replicants are like kind of alive. They have some kind of ghost in the machine thing going on. I mean, the fact, like when love lies.
Yeah. I would argue that is one of the main themes and points that both movies are trying to make, and that it's Madam that kind of says that line. And I think that like you're saying, I think the point of that line being in here is almost to point out that she's wrong. Not that like that line, like what is the disclaimer that companies have to do where it's like, the perspective of this individual does not necessarily represent the view of Blade Runner 2049 at large. But like I almost think that it's like that character was like meant to be incorrect in her view of like there being like almost a soul or a difference. I think the point they're making is that life is life.
Yeah, more human than human.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
That's actually said later in the film too.
Yeah. Didn't I say that in last week's episode, talking about like the replicants doing something? Like I thought that was kind of weird. I noticed that when watching the movie, I was like, I thought that was my line. Like, they fucking stole that from me. I'm joking.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone's line, including White Zombie. Good
true.
Band,
yeah, true.
So the one thing the one character that I'm really, 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 really interested in talking about is Neander Wallace.
I don't even remember that character. Which Wallace is that? Hold on. Is that Mr. Wallace or the Wallace?
That's
Leto?
the one.
Okay.
That's Jared Leto.
I didn't know his first name. I just knew Wallace. Well, yeah, I was like, I thought that was a different Wallace. Okay.
Also, and when I mentioned like that there's too much sexy in the Blade Runner Alien universe, including Sigourney Weaver and Winona Ryder, and I forgot to mention Jared Leto, but in the character he plays, there, yeah.
His character was great in this, though. I loved, yeah.
The thing that I think that he is one of the most underrated actors, because I don't hear people talk about him the way that we often talk about him on here and the roles that he's done. And I just like, he's so fucking brilliant in this role. And he does this weird like God complex thing where he calls the replicants angels. But I think that you get a really, really, really good like understanding of him in that weird like replicant kind of birth.
Yeah, that
air quotes.
Yeah, that scene was weird. That scene was cool though.
And it like kind of comes in and he talks about and you can see like the sort of like weird like sociopathic kind of tendencies where he says the thing about like entire civilizations were built on the backs of other humans and we lost our stomach for slaves. Mm-hmm. Like the things he has to say, and then the fact that he actually like cuts that replicant open like right there. Yeah. And the person they cast for that scene to play the replicant also fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that was really well done. Yeah.
She did a great job like pretending to be this thing. And the line that he says about before we even know what we are.
Yeah.
And like the way that Jared Leto does Neander Wallace's voice and like all the stuff about how he does it. He does creepy so well in this movie.
And I think like devil's advocate, like I think a lot of the things you're pointing to about his character that's really cool is more writing than his performance. Not that his performance was bad, but I think a lot of it was just kind of the character design. But I think that was great. Like that line, even I think the writing was great because that was such a perfect introduction into telling us that he himself is also a replicant. That is like there's a different hierarchy forming in like the first movie almost just fleshed out that there were like humans and replicants. And that then like the humans look down upon the replicants basically. But it's like in this, there's another hierarchy of there's multiple branches of what we would consider quote unquote artificial life. And like within them, there's like almost a caste system.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, it's good writing. It's a good scene, good angles, like the angles, even when they do close-ups of his face, the angles that they cover him like contribute to sort of the vibe. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think you're right that he did do a good job, but you when you're fed good lines, any actor that's at least halfway decent will be able to make something good of that.
Yeah, like the whole design of that character I thought was cool. Even like the floating drones around him and shit, like that was really neat. Like it was just like all the aesthetics of that character was really well done.
Yeah, you could give John Cena like a solid gold script with solid gold lines and he'd still fuck it up. But
I don't know, dude. Have you seen what was it? Is the movie called Trainwreck? The movie with what is her name? Amy Schumer. He plays her boyfriend.
Dude, no. I haven't seen it, but okay, now that you mentioned Amy Schumer, like I think I've seen it and haven't watched it. Is he actually good in that?
Yes, he's so funny. There is a scene where they're in a movie theater, and he's like arguing with this other couple, telling the guy to shut up, and they have this like like the macho argument back and forth, and like all of his threats to the other dude are like really gay, but he doesn't get it. He's like, I will fuck you. There's a lot. It's like he's really funny in it. He like that movie like made me realize how fucking funny John Cena is.
Wait, was it Trainwreck?
Is that an Amy Schumer movie?
Oh yeah, here he is. Yeah, okay, he's in it. It's just like he's not like in any of the stills that I saw, but yeah, okay, I will probably need to check this one out now. That actually looks pretty fucking hilarious.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Maybe I should give John Cena more credit and give Jared Leto less credit.
Well, not to take away from Jared Leto, I do agree with you. I think that I also agree that not only is he great, I think that he is underappreciated or overlooked too. I feel like he is kind of I don't know why. I don't know if like, have we missed any? Ellie, that's funny. Have we missed any like? Has he had any bad roles that we have maybe overlooked that other people are remembering, and that's why they don't give him like?
Have you seen Urban Legends?
It doesn't sound familiar. What's Urban Legends?
It's a genre that I call teeny bopper horror.
Okay, like Jeepers Creepers, kind of like that kind of.
Yeah, or like Scream, or I know what you did last summer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he has a little role in that, and he is not particularly amazing in it. But it's like when you end up in a movie like that, that's sort of like a kooky kind of horror film. I think that kind of ruins your career. But Sean Penn has been able to live down Fast Times at Ridgemont High, or has he?
I don't think Sean Penn has been able to live down I Am Sam. I think he went full retard. They had a whole scene in Tropic.
They had a whole character in Tropic Thunder dedicated to.
Exactly. Yeah, he messed up, man. He went home empty-handed.
But I think Jared Leto is cool as like a person, because people will, whenever anyone mentions like an Oscar, he's like, they don't give Oscars to people like me. But he just doesn't really play politics very well.
Has he never won one? Interesting.
I don't think so. I don't believe he's won anything.
I wonder, that would be cool to see him get like a real like breakout role like that thing, because I do agree that I think he is great. Like I think like a lot of the roles I've seen him in are very believable. I think that he's been good in a lot of things. No, sorry, not Sean Penn. Jared Leto.
Dude, are you familiar? There's apparently a short Blade Runner 2036 Nexus Dawn.
No, when was that made?
2017. Apparently, same time as around this movie. Apparently, Jared Leto also plays Neander Wallace and actually demonstrates the merits of a new type of Nexus to the LAPD.
Was it like part of the marketing for this, maybe, or something?
I think so.
That's interesting.
I'm kind of pissed. I just discovered this. I would have liked to watch that before.
I am a sucker for like well done viral marketing campaigns, like stuff like that. I think it's really. Oh, Ellie just pointed. Oh, wow. He won an Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. Apparently, Mr. Leto. That was well deserved. That was a good role too. That was a fucking great movie.
McConaughey was in that, right?
Yeah. That was a really good role for McConaughey too. Yeah.
So that's one of those movies like where I saw it and I was like, this is too good, I can't watch it.
Yeah, like what do you call that genre? Like I know that they're dramas, quote unquote, but like those movies that are obviously just the Oscar movies. You know what? Like when you see the trailer for it and it's got the score and the narrator and you like it's edited in a way and you know that it's like, oh, that's one of the Oscar contenders.
I don't know. Oscar play. I don't really know, because it's like watching Curious Case of Benjamin Button. You're like, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one. Or like Titanic. It's like,
exactly. Yeah, like that type of movie. It's like it's almost like drama doesn't cut it, because it's almost like a certain niche within drama.
And at the same time, there's another sort of hard to describe genre of movies where you can tell they're gunning for an award, but you just know they're not going to win it.
Oh yeah. No, those are the best. Yeah. Oh yeah, Elliot. Yeah, Good Will Hunting's an obvious one too. Yeah, that was that one's so good. That one's a good one. Those movies, I am a sucker for those movies a lot of the time though, because they're so like the emotional moments are just so well crafted to a formula that they know how to get you, and it's like it's always like it hits you right in the feels. They know how to do it.
And for me, like when I watch those movies, I'm like, you made me cry. I resent you. That's kind of my take on it.
Well, I've accepted ever since. I think it was, what was the name of that movie with John Coffey? Holy shit, Green Mile. Ever since the Green Mile, I saw that when I was like 12 or 13 or whatever in the theaters. I don't know what age it would have been when that came out, but like that movie made me bawl like the child I was. And I thought I was like coming into age at that time. Whenever when you're 12 or 13, you feel like you're like growing up. You're like, yeah, I can make it through a movie, and like definitely, yeah, hit me super. And like since then, I've just kind of accepted that like movies like that are gonna make me cry. It's okay. Like I don't need to be upset at it. But it's like they know how to do it. There's my cry button is pretty big, and they're able to hit it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's that moment where, and I recognize this as silly, but. I'm sure we've talked about this before. Did you see the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yeah.
The big tough security guard guy, when he starts to cry.
Yeah.
He's like, "You get back in there!" And that tear like goes back up into his eye.
Yep.
Like I sometimes feel like I'm trying to be that dude.
Yeah.
So there's just movies where like I have the lump in the throat and it stays there, and I'm like, "Nope, you stay right there. You can't. Nope, you stay in my throat." And then like it's yeah. Like,
yeah. See, what gets me, we've talked about it before too, are the movies that balance the laughs and the cries really well, because what'll get me in those moments is I'm fighting it and I'm able to keep it down, but then the laugh breaks it. Whenever there's a funny moment that laughs, immediately you're like, your emotional inhibitions are just immediately lowered, and then they're able to sneak right in there and get you.
It's like we're having a discussion about the propensities of filmmakers to manipulate us emotionally. Which is kind of what you're doing when you watch a drama anyway. Same with comedy.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that's what I feel like we talked about this before, but I think that's what so much of almost every medium of art is. You want to portray an emotion, like music, like anything. It's like you are just trying to get someone to feel something.
And there's a few times, like for me, even during Blade Runner, I kind of like felt some things like the sentiment, or like the moment of this sort of attempted invalidation.
Yeah.
When Wallace is trying to convince Deckard that Rachel was engineered specifically for him to be attracted to her, and that's kind of like, oh man, like I feel invalidated for you.
Yeah.
And the part where he's like, I know what's real, and that like gruff, like old man Harrison Ford voice that he developed as he got older,
and he's so good at it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's fucking great. So okay, do you have a favorite scene, or like a favorite bit of camera work, or a favorite bit of special effects in this film?
Okay, so I almost don't want to say it because
it's the visuals, right?
Well, yes, for me, yeah, very, very much so. And which I think, so I touched on this in the first episode, the last episode about the first movie, where the beginning of that movie, there were a few scenes that are meant to be visually striking, and they show their age quite a bit. This movie has the same stuff, the same kind of scenes, and it makes me wonder, in 30 years, will that look really dated? Because like we feel like we've reached this point where CG just looks, oh, it's so good that it's not, like that won't look dated in 30 years, but like they thought that 30 years ago too, so it makes me wonder. But no, so much of this movie is like definitely the visuals. The coolest part for me, which it makes me feel like a little bit of a perv, but I really liked how Las Vegas was. The aesthetics, the big like topless statues and everything. Like I thought like Las Vegas was like really fucking cool.
Yeah, and like that sort of mist hanging over everything, the kind of weird like fog, like from the fallout and everything.
I mean, I thought that was cool, but it made me just want to see that Vegas in its heyday. Like I thought the design of that city, like the idea of like almost embracing the Sin City and having these like huge, like almost like, you know, Gomorrah style statues or whatever. Like I thought that was cool. Like,
yeah, even when Deckard talks about what it was like, that it contributes even more to, and I thought every part of that part was pretty cool, like the way that they do it, and the flyovers and like the sort of like ship that he has are kind of cool.
Yep.
And I like little things like the way that the water moves across the glass in his vehicle.
Oh yeah,
like in the interior shots, those are cool. But there's one particular scene that I think is really brilliant, it's when Love comes in there to sort of come at the madam and like sort of interrogate her, find out where the child is, or at least find Kay. And the scene where well, first of all, it's actually very good acting, because a lot of people overlook how much acting sort of prowess you show in your ability to act as if you're in pain.
Oh yeah,
when she crushes the glass in her hand.
I think one thing that speaks to that is many actors just use real pain.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people we've talked about. Didn't oh shit, what movie did we do where there was method? I didn't what's it? Oh my god, crap, fucking shit, Edward from Twilight.
Oh, Pattinson.
Didn't he do a whole lot of that for Lighthouse?
Apparently, yeah.
He would actually like screw with himself, make himself vomit and things like that. Scenes, so. But the acting's really cool, like when she crushes the glass in her hand. But I love the part where you just know that the madam's a tough motherfucker already. You just know that Love's totally going to kill her. You just know it. It's inevitable. But I think it's so brilliant that it goes poof, and the camera is now outside.
Yeah, that was a cool cut.
The window, there's no audio.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they have to really, the way that they do that scene, like the murder kind of thing, like Love's like the jabs that she's doing and the ways that she's reacting as she's being shanked, essentially, like everything about the way that they did that, I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it was really well done.
It's like things that you wouldn't think to like write into something, like in that the Power movie with Jamie Foxx in it.
Oh, Project Power.
Like where there's like the big fight, but you see it from inside that kind of booth thing that one person's in.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that, but there's just something about the way that they filmed that I thought was really, really cool. And I think it increases the drama that you see it happen in silence.
It's a really cool thing, because it always makes me wonder too, like what was that on black ink on a white page? How was that written? Was that actually the idea that like, oh, the camera cuts to outside of that, or was that someone's idea in the filming of it or in the editing or whatever? But I do think that was really well done. And also, like you're talking about, Madam, a awesome badass character and played so well by Robin Wright. She was like really, really amazing in this.
And she's really good. Like I fucking loved her in House of Cards.
Yeah,
honestly, I think she almost steals the show.
Okay, hold on. Did you watch season 6?
Do what?
Did you watch season? See, I felt the same way that you did too, until I tried to watch season 6 and did not like the show without Frank there. When it was just her carrying the season, it really did take a lot away. And like I felt like I was like, oh yeah, I still love this, because like I loved it mainly for Claire. But I do think that like however much I loved Claire in that, the dynamic between her and Frank was so much of it.
I'm suddenly realizing all the times I've said people have stolen shows and recognizing how that may have been a complete error of perception.
I mean, to test it, try to watch season 6 and see if it hits the same as any of the previous ones, because it is definitely his absence is very noticeable in my opinion. The show does not go on without him.
And like, would she have been as good in this film without Ryan Gosling playing opposite? I mean, I would actually call that playing opposite, the way that they interact with each other.
Yeah.
Also, the scene where they're in his apartment and she says, "What happens if I finish this?" Is she trying to come on to him?
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
Drinking. She finishes I didn't really understand that scene. I've watched that scene. I've seen this movie several times, and I've never been able to figure that scene out.
Maybe because didn't Joy even like hint at like her liking him or something? Or I feel like she even said something about and I'm not sure now, maybe, but I'm also like, I know that I am not the best at reading signals like that, so I would she could have been obviously throwing herself at him like, I don't know, I thought they were just friends.
And I mean, if the acting was so good in that scene that you still had difficulty reading it as if it were real, then I think that's grade A #1 acting.
Exactly. Yeah. I would, if Robin Wright was coming on to me, I would have no clue at all.
So there was one thing I was going to do as my favorite line this week that I just couldn't bring myself to do because for whatever reason I couldn't take this movie and make it funny. I just couldn't
You're a brain runner.
Even though I did that for last.
Oh my god!
I don't know why. I think maybe because I did it last week, I couldn't live with myself if I did it this week too.
I feel that.
But the first thing that Deckard says to Kay, you wouldn't happen to have a piece of cheese, would you?
Do you know where that's from?
Is it from something?
Treasure Island. I had to look it up too because I was like, what the fuck is this? And that's why he says he reads whenever. Yeah, it's a quote from Treasure Island. Now, the real question is, why did they choose to use that quote as the first dialogue between the two? That part I don't necessarily understand, but it did. I almost picked that. I literally wrote that down as my favorite line. And then after I typed it in, I was like, hold on, I'm going to Google that and figure out why that was that line. And yeah, I don't understand why they used that though.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
That's crazy. Like I changed audio sources to the earbuds I have because they have a microphone, and I changed them back to the regular mic. Okay, well, there we go.
What was I saying?
The magic of editing.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully, oh yeah, God, that'll be another reminder. Try to edit that part out. Fuck, I'm so bad at editing.
Did you hear the thing that I said about like how we've actually on many occasions been concerned that our favorite lines were from something else?
Yes.
Yeah. So in this case, I mean, I'm sure there has to be a reason. I bet if we like looked at the plot point in Treasure Island, we'd probably be able to figure out why they used that right there.
That's what I wondered. I'm not familiar with the story of Treasure Island at all, so I don't know if it relates. Like if it was a line from Peter Pan, or I'm sorry, Pinocchio, it would make a lot more sense to me. Like that would almost be, the theme of like being a real boy or something like that almost would. But Treasure Island, it makes me wonder what the resonance is there.
At that point, I mean, he also apparently like replicants are easier to spot later on somehow. At that point, he may not have actually known whether or not he was a replicant, but he did figure he was a cop.
Yeah, that's what I read as someone writing like that was one of his questions as a way to like test if he was a replicant or not. Yeah.
There's one scene in the film that, because this isn't necessarily really an action film, but the scene where Kay gets followed to the hotel right before Love essentially abducts Deckard.
Yeah. Yep.
That whole like fight thing that's happening with the explosions and stuff is fucking epic.
Yeah, it was pretty well done. Yep.
And there's also they have a dog person moment where the poor little pup just kind of like mopes about like, well, what do I do now? Is it real? Ask him.
Yeah. Speaking of, that is the main theme that I get from this movie. And the previous one is like we talked about, the whole life is life. Does it fucking matter at all? Is that a question that does the answer to that question make any fucking difference? Is it
whether or not he's real?
Yeah, whether or not the dog's real, whether or not Deckard is a replicant, like the lingering, neither movie answers that. That is still left up as a thing that the audience does not know.
Yeah, like I feel like if it were you and I in the conversation, that we would have the typical conversation we have, where if I were like, "Is he real?" It's like, well, when you say real,
yeah.
What exactly do you mean?
Exactly.
So we can't go any further until you tell me what that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that maybe there's a point to that. And also the fact that when Deckard says, ask him, I think he's almost saying, who cares?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like if you ask him if he's real, he's going to tell you yes.
Yep. And that to me, what I think is the most interesting thing is that I like, we've talked about this before with movies that leave an ending that may or not be considered like ambiguous or kind of like open-ended like that. But I almost think that the point of it is reinforcing the fact that it doesn't matter. If the point is that there is no difference between the two, like leaving that as an open question, like, and I think that's almost the point of the open end of Inception, where it's like, it doesn't matter if he's dreaming or not. It's that he found a reality that he's happy in. So it's like, it's almost like to me, it's like I found like a distinct, like between Blade Runner and Inception, even like that similar kind of open-ended, where it's like, it's not the fact that they didn't answer the question. It's the fact that the answer to the question doesn't even matter.
Don't you dare compare this wonderful sci-fi gem to that piece of shit hackery. Fucking Inception. I feel like you knew that my reaction to this when you thought of it was going to be I hate that movie. But I don't, oh God, I hate Inception so much. We really should do an episode on Inception.
No, the reason more was that trying to understand why you like Blade Runner leaving it open, but not like Inception leaving it open, and trying to find like something between the two, like to.
It's not. It's the fans that are the problem. It's what people say leaving the theater. The difference between people's remarks about Inception versus people's remarks, because it's not even the movie that fucks it up. It's the audience somehow.
It's like Christianity. It's not the religion. It's the followers.
Yeah, it's what people have to say about the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and I think that another reason for Blade Runner is that the openness of the first one. I was also very young.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, and I didn't really look at it in that lens. There's a lot of things about the sentiment involved with the film, and that, you know, my mom, who's the reason why I like anything sci-fi, was part of the reason why I saw the movie, and the reason why I watched Star Trek and saw episodes of Farscape here and there, is just because of that. So there's I think there's a lot of sentiment attached to it, where like I have this bias where I don't hold it to the standard I should, if I'm being consistent. And you know, this movie is also somewhat open-ended too.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it actually ends a lot like Drive.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. Yeah,
Ryan Gosling bleeding out.
What year was Drive?
In LA.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Drive was before this, right? I forget what year Drive was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drive was what was that,
2014? Oh, wait, would you? Ooh. It was one of us is a few years off.
We
did that.
2011.
I was looking back through notes, but we did Drive. That was not this year. That was one of the one-off movie episodes last year. Yeah.
That was before we became the thing we are now. This helped us push us in the direction that we wanted to go.
Yeah, that was one of the prototype episodes, I guess you would call it. Yeah. Yeah, so that covers no, hold on, what was I did have one more thing I wanted to cover. What was that? I do so speaking on like leaving it open, I think the one cool thing that is, whether or not people like that concept of not like finalizing something, I do think it's kind of neat to have something where even the like main people involved disagree on the interpretation. I think it's kind of cool that it's like, to Harrison Ford, Deckard is human, and to Ridley Scott, Deckard is a replicant. I think it's really cool that those two people that like intimately involved with the character have a very different very different interpretation on the reality. I think that's kind of cool.
You know, I kind of wonder, I would love to hear Dennis, is it Villeneuve or Villeneuve, however you say his name. I would love to actually hear his thoughts on the original film, like the original Blade Runner, to sort of see like what he thinks of it too. But yeah,
what if he was just like, I hated it.
He's gonna be like, I hated that movie. I want to make this one better.
Yeah, just to prove how bad the first one was.
If directors are anything like everyone else that does anything, I'm sure they probably have a desire to outdo each other. But you know, there's another tiny thing. What is it about Ryan Gosling and playing roles where he gets a cool jacket?
Okay, so there's Drive and Blade Runner. Name another cool jacket.
I think he had a cool one in. Oh wait, I thought the character he played in Remember the Titans had a jacket at some point, like a leather jacket.
Damn it! I was trying to go for crickets. I really need to label my samples here.
I'm trying. It kind of contributes to the appeal, I think.
Yeah, it's just random.
So you never know what you're gonna get.
I'll just put all of my samples on one button and have it just randomize, and that way, I won't have to worry about it. It'll just be random.
Because for some reason that was just conflating young Christian Bale with young Ryan Gosling. Because I was gonna say Newsies, but that was Christian Bale.
Well,
all right.
Whenever I search
several cool jackets in what was that movie that he was in with Steve Carell?
Blue Valentine?
No.
Oh,
Blue
he's
Valentine.
I don't know that. I just searched for
Stupid Love. Crazy Stupid Love.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. He is. And in Murder by Numbers, he had a good jacket. Okay, you're right, dude. He always has a good jacket.
In Ides of March, he had several good jackets when he was performing in La La Land.
Okay, if you just look at pictures of him on the street, he also just very often has really nice jackets. So I think the dude may just have a good sense of style. And I think that then I think the oh my god, I have no idea what that with the wardrobe people in movies probably just cater, maybe not cater to that, but like he's probably cast to look a certain way because he always looks, put together like that. So like very often they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, he always looks good in a good jacket. Let's put that as part of the wardrobe.
And well, the reason I think one of the costume directors was talking about the jacket and Drive is that they wanted it to be an accessible like accessory, something that people can relate to. And the movie is the audience that they were looking for was for it to appeal to like young males particularly.
Yeah.
And they said that the reason for the jacket and that is because it's an accessible thing for like young men. Like a cool jacket is something that most of us can relate to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and in this movie, it just the fact that it covers his face partially just contributes to this sort of weird, like kind of atmosphere, because it's got some of that noir type thing in the original Blade Runner, but there's more colors present.
Yeah,
it's like noir Tokyo to me.
One thing that I do think was missing from this one that the first one did really well that we talked about was like the environment in this one was designed very well, but like I missed the I don't know the right way to even like I pointed to it with the character living in the freezer with the eyes, how he was almost like a part of the environment, and there was almost like an overly designed, like he had the jacket with the tubes connecting to stuff. Like it was kind of like a really cool, like this movie, a lot of it was almost just too polished and it was missing that kind of rugged, like almost fantasy style feeling. The closest feeling I got was the lady living in the glass bubble, basically.
It was a little too clean.
Yeah.
Like just generally clean. It wasn't as gritty as the first one that kind of contributed to that kind of noir kind of vibe. So yeah, I agree. That is something that, because I sort of try to think of them as separate films, even though they have like the same storyline.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I mean, one's a sequel of the other, so you unavoidably have to compare them to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I follow you on that one, and I think I totally agree with you on that. I mean, I still like the movie, but I do think that the environment and the atmosphere, the sort of taking you away, kind of really, really pushing this idea of like a very different world. Mm-hmm. The whole thing that, that one thing that I've gotten from you a lot is sort of like recognizing that the world the movie takes place in is not the world that I live in.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's like, that they did a better job of convincing you that this wasn't your world in the first one than they do in this one.
Yes. Yeah. It feels more fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it might be because when you look at a movie like 2001: A Space Odyssey, the future looks a whole lot like the 60s.
Yep.
That it might be that we weren't really alive when the first one came out, so to us maybe that's more unrecognizable of a world.
True.
And then this one maybe looks a little more like the modern world that we inhabit, because your surroundings will always influence what you think the future will look like, right?
Yeah.
So it might also be that this one just like since the people that made it are our contemporaries, it might just seem that way. Or maybe they just did a better job with the first one.
Well, or devil's advocate, there could be an in-universe explanation that fits. I mean, this one is however many years later, maybe they have spent time cleaning up society. That's why there's the huge like area outside of LA of just mounds and mounds and mounds of landfills. Maybe stuff is cleaner because they've been working for the past 3 decades to try to get all the shit out of the middle of the city and into the outskirts. But
that's true. I mean, it shows progress. Also, on the sort of universes, I cannot, in Alien and also in Prometheus, I was unable to find anything to tie the movies together.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, the person who wrote the article that I read did say that like as the movies went on, there was more. So I'm gonna check like Alien Covenant or whatever like the most recent was to see if there's anything. But
yeah. I want to watch. I watched Alien and Aliens.
Okay.
Over the weekend, and I'm gonna do Alien 3. Also, if you want to see how far computer graphics have gone, just watch Alien 3.
Yeah. You're gonna skip Resurrection, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Resurrection.
Most people do.
I always forget about that one. But Winona Ryder, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's in it multiple times. There's like, isn't there 7 of her in it? I think, or 8. I forget how many clones there are of her in that one.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few of Winona Ryder.
The creepy like kill me one was like, that one got to me when I saw that movie as a kid.
Yeah, that is. And it's really funny because one thing, and once again we're talking about a totally different film, but whatever. The one thing in Aliens that you see in a lot of action films around that time, there was this view that there was this necessary character that was freaking out.
Yeah.
There always need to be the one, and the guy that plays him, I cannot remember his name. He played Joel in Twister, I think.
Oh, okay.
He fucks up that whole movie, and it's not even him, it's the character that they wrote in for him.
Yep.
Like, Aliens is terrible just because of that character. It would have been so much better if they'd taken him out, but whatever. I digress.
That covers all mine. You ready for favorite line? You got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I covered cool jacket.
Would you wear his jacket from this? Or is it too futuristic?
One.
Really?
Yeah, I almost bought one until I saw how much they were selling for, and I was like, nope.
Oh, I bet they're expensive.
Yeah, they're up there. Yeah. So no, that pretty much covers everything. Yeah.
Let's do it. You go first this time. So
this is this line for me. It's going to be really hard to try to do an impression of the way that this was acted, but it's one of the characters in the movie that I think. We didn't really talk about her very much, but I think it's a character that's played really, really, really well by the person that plays it, and that this sort of sociopathic yet somehow like soft nature of her is played well. And this is actually during one of my favorite scenes in the movie too. You tiny thing, in the face of the fabulous new, your only thought is to kill it? For fear of great change? You can't hold the tide with a broom.
That is a good line. She did play that role very well too. Yeah, we didn't talk about her too much, but yeah, she was fucking great. I did hate the there was one. Yeah, never mind. I won't talk about a line I hated in my favorite line segment. But no, my favorite line. I picked this one because I thought it was really cool. The idea of this movie, the way it was done, and the idea I thought were really, really cool. I loved this line stressing how important and the fallout of what was going on was. But I loved, am I the only one that can see the fucking sunrise here? This breaks the world, Kay. I thought that was a cool line. I love, like, because that is a really cool idea of having something that, if known, changes everything. Like, I feel like that, that's like the existence of extraterrestrial life. It's like if that was like a secret that people were keeping hidden, it's like that would be something that, if revealed, there are major, societal repercussions to people knowing about something like that. Like, so to me, I thought that was a really cool part of the plot of this movie.
And that whole concept too of extraterrestrial life is covered very well in Men in Black, the first movie that they did.
Yep.
Where it's like the only thing keeping them together is that they don't know about it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. But it is kind of sad we didn't talk about love a bit more, but I really think that line kind of sums up the character, especially because a tear runs down her face right before she murders somebody.
I do have to say, I hated the bad dog line. It was so cringy. It was way too cringy.
That line does kind of stick out to me. It's like a wrong note in a concerto.
Yes.
Like, and it's not even. It's like it's one that's not just a wrong note. It's not in the right key. Like it's a sharp where it shouldn't be.
But
like
it's also like
that's really what.
But you know why? You know why the composer put it there. You know why they chose that note. But it still just hits your ears in a way that you're like, I don't necessarily like that.
Yeah, that line really isn't good. It's a little too like 1993 like bad guy in the action film.
Yeah, and it's like it's it's way too heavy-handed too. Like if you want it to be like it's not even subtly playing on the idea of him being disobedient. Yeah, it's just yeah, it was just like I heard that I was like, oh come on, like love, come on.
They almost single-handedly ruin a character with that line.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not. I still think she was great in that character. I loved the fucking scene of her sitting there calling down the missile strike while getting her nails done. That was like brilliantly like that. Like yeah, the aesthetics of this movie are just fucking great.
Oh shit, I actually had that in my notes. I can't believe I didn't mention that.
I'm glad I did that. So for next week, I got two choices for you here. So have you seen Spider-Man Far From Home?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the movie, but I need to know Spider-Man versus Mysterio. It's a tough choice. I know. I know it's a tough choice, but if you had to pick one of the two.
I'm going to say Spider-Man.
All right. Spider-Man. The choice is it's a movie then. It's I'm going to say starring. He's definitely very prominently in it. But Tom Holland in The Devil All the Time will be the movie that we do next week. It is a very interesting, pretty dark drama. He was great in it though, and Robert Pattinson is also in it, and I think he does really well in it too.
You mentioned this to me when we were doing Lighthouse, I think, or right before we did.
Yeah, because I first heard about this movie probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah, it's a Netflix movie, should still be free on Netflix, and I think it's a 2020 movie also.
Wait, was it you? Maybe someone else told me about this movie too.
I know I talked to you about it, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think you're gonna enjoy it though. Yeah, it's got Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, Sebastian Stan is also in it, Robert Pattinson. It's got a pretty good cast. Yeah, actually, yeah, it came out just on September 11th, 2020. So yeah, it's only right over 2 months old.
Well, you know what happens when you get all these big rock stars from different bands and put them into one band, you know? I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested in this one though.
Good. Cool.
Tom fucking Holland.
I love Tom Holland, man. Ever since fucking Billy Elliot, I have loved Tom Holland. Did you ever see Billy Elliot?
I don't think I did.
He was young and he played a kid that wanted to be a ballet dancer, and he grew up in like lower class Ireland. So like all of the like other working class kids, called him names that we're not going to say on Twitch for it and stuff like that. But
I don't know. I might need to see that one. I feel like I saw something about it, but never watched it. Also, if you'd like, that 2036 Nexus Dawn short, it's on YouTube. So I'm actually probably going to watch it after this. It's only like 5 minutes long.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. Nice. Cool. Well, guys, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you're watching this on YouTube and you've enjoyed the conversation, please hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us how you felt about Blade Runner 2049. Also, comment below and tell us Alien versus Blade Runner, which is the quintessential Ridley Scott movie. And if you want to further keep up to date with the show or join us as a guest on a future episode, you can always join our Discord. The link is in the description right down below. And we'll be live next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/TylerTV talking about The Devil All the Time. That sounded, the phrasing of that was strange, but thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you guys have a great week.